Hello, my name is Sarah Daniels, and this is my defense of my research project for History 713 American Entrepreneurship since 1900. My research project is titled Carnegie Libraries in Bryan and Other Towns in Texas. So, when I first started out on this research journey, I had the question, how can a library impact society, local government, or even the local economy? And when I first started out, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for how different Carnegie libraries in the state of Texas had impacted the society around them, the local government around them, and the economy. However, the more research I did, the more I realized that really the biggest thing that needed to be researched was not the impact that the libraries had on the local government or even the local economy, but it was the impact it had on the society around it, the community that these libraries were built in. In the picture here, you can see a Carnegie Library. Now, this is not one of the libraries that I researched. However, you're going to see throughout this presentation libraries that look a lot like the one on your screen. And so, as the research project developed, as I found more and more information, this went from looking at several different Carnegie libraries, which the intent was to look at three originally, and it really morphed into looking at one in particular. That one I ended up looking into the most was the Carnegie History Museum or History Center and Library in Bryan, Texas. And I found that the more I dug and the more I learned about this, just that one particular library, the significance of the Carnegie libraries that were built. And there were over 1,600 Carnegie libraries built in the United States alone. There were 32 built in Texas. And the more that I dug into just the Bryan Carnegie Library, and that's the Carnegie Library in Bryan, Texas, the more the more significant I found that it was to the community, to the local government, and even to the economy. And one of the ways that I found it became significant was that prior to the Carnegie Library being built in Bryan, Texas, there really was no place for every person, man, woman, and child in the city of Bryan to be able to come together. Because prior to the building of the library, as the current librarian Rachel Altman describes Bryan, Texas, is that it was pretty much your typical Western town. There were at least a dozen saloons. There were gunfights in the street. There were drunken brawls. Men passed out in the streets and in alleyways. There were hangings on the courthouse lawn. It was a very, how she describes it, it was reckless and wild, and there wasn't a whole lot of civility. And so the library became significant in that it became a place that it brought people together for a multitude of reasons. Now, my research, I did a lot of it, and I didn't get to do as much as I could because, one, this course that I'm taking, that this research paper was for, was an 8-week course. And there's a lot more research that I would love to do, and I plan on doing in the future. But really, the key points about the research, my research method, is that I reached out to local librarians. I, um, despite only being able to do one interview, I did new things that I've never done before in working on a research project, and that was reaching out to people that I didn't know and just putting myself out there and saying, "Hi, my name is Sarah Daniels. I'm a historian studying with Liberty University," and gave them the whole spiel. And then really trying to use the sources that I had found, looking at what sources they used and seeing what it, you know, where they got their information. Something else that I used heavily in this research project was newspapers and news reports. There were a couple of different news reports that I was able to find the original video and gather information from that. And so that was really neat and it was interesting. And so this brings us to our conclusion. Now, on the screen are two pictures of the same library. This is the library in the Carnegie Library in Bryan, Texas. The one on the left of your screen, that picture was taken in 1902, the same year that the library was built. And as you can see, there's really was not a whole lot around it. Today, if you look at the picture on the right, that is a very recent picture of the Carnegie Library in Bryan, Texas. And the city of Bryan grew up around the library. City Hall was built not too far down the road from it. It it became an essential part of Main Street in Bryan, Texas. And it was just to see the significance that this one library had on the community. And then through the same research and looking at the Carnegie Library in Franklin, Texas, and the Carnegie Library in Palestine, Texas, and just seeing how those libraries, they're still standing today because they made an impact on the community around them. If you would like to read my paper, please message me in the descriptions below, and I would be happy to share it with you. You can also look in the description below to see the full list of resources that I used for this project. The resources that I have listed here are for the pictures that I used specifically for this video. Again, you can look in the descriptions below and find the complete total list of sources that I used for my research project. This was a learning experience, and I think it's a subject and a topic that warrants further research and investigation.